I was given by my beloved to the half-paralyzed puppet emperor as his noble consort, but things seemed to have gotten a bit out of control. Jiyu Linyuan obediently lay across my lap, cooing, "Yina, I want to eat grapes." I placed a grape into his mouth. "It's not enough, I want more." Jiyu Linyuan's eyes shimmered as he continued to whimper softly. "The imperial consort and his majesty are truly inseparable," a cold voice interjected. I looked up to see the love of my life, the all-powerful regent Jiyu Mo, Jiyu Linyuan's uncle, staring at me with venomous eyes. I owe it all to the regent for helping me obtain such a beauty as the imperial consort. Jiyu Linyuan glanced at Jiyu Mo, then hooked his arm around my neck and planted a gentle kiss on my lips. Jiyu Mo stood silently a few steps away, his icy, venomous eyes fixed intently on me, as if I had done something to betray him, yet in reality, every step I took was precisely according to his instructions. When I first felt the stirrings of love, I once admired the lofty and powerful regent Jiyu Mo. Later, the handkerchief I painstakingly embroidered was taken by him to wipe the tears of Princess Anning. When Princess Anning wept, his heart ached. When my heart shattered, he cast it aside like worthless trash. I knew then that I was just a stray dog picked up by Jiyu Mo. Fortunately, I was beautiful enough. He gave me the identity of an adopted daughter of the Duke of Lu and presented me to the puppet emperor, Jiyu Linyuan. "Shun Yin, the emperor has suffered from leg ailments since childhood and will never be able to stand again in this lifetime, let alone perform marital duties. Being his favored concubine won't be a loss for you." Jiyu Mo's voice was always cold, but that time, it chilled me to the bone. "So, being gifted by the one I love to a half-paralyzed man is my good fortune, indeed. I was just an abandoned infant he picked up, my very life was given by him. What more could I possibly hope for?" Now, Jiyu Mo before me still stares at me without a word, but Jiyu Linyuan grows even more unrestrained. His slender, pale fingers trace the tip of my nose before brushing against my soft lips. Frowning with displeasure, she complained, "Why is Yina always unhappy whenever she sees the regent king?" I lowered my gaze, withdrawing it from Jiyu Mo, and fed another grape into Jiyu Linyuan's mouth. "Your Majesty and the regent king have state affairs to discuss. This concubine shall take her leave first." I turned to leave but was pulled back by Jiyu Linyuan. Though his legs were disabled, his arm strength was astonishingly strong, and I was pulled into his embrace. "What business does the regent have? Speak now, and when it's done, we still have a pleasant night to spend with our consort." After a long while, Jiyu Mo finally managed a smile that was more like a smirk, his gaze coldly resting on Jiyu Linyuan's useless legs. He sneered, "Your Majesty can't even stand anymore, yet you're still in such high spirits. Truly a blessing for our great Yuan." Jiyu Linyuan's rakish smile froze at the corners of his lips, and the fingers caressing my cheek paused momentarily, yet I felt a pang of pity for him. This young emperor, barely past his capping ceremony, should have been at the height of his vigor, yet his legs were rendered useless. This was also the first time I ever looked down upon Jiyu Mo. He had everything, yet still chose to humiliate Jiyu Linyuan like this. With that thought, my body swayed and I collapsed into Jiyu Linyuan's arms. "Your Majesty, this concubine is truly weak." Last night, blushing crimson, I buried my face against his knee. Jiyu Linyuan was taken aback, but his eyes finally lit up, staring at me with a dazed smile. "The imperial consort is so soft and fragrant, who could resist?" Our conversation, as if no one else was present, thoroughly enraged Jiyu Mo. He let out a cold laugh and waved his hand dismissively. The young eunuch presented a wooden box, inside which lay neatly arranged rods made of fine Hatian jade. "In that case, this subject shall liven things up for His Majesty and the noble consort," Jiyu Mo said mischievously. My heart skipped a beat, a mix of shame and indignation rising within me as I couldn't help but glance worriedly at Jiyu Linyuan. These were originally objects used by palace eunuchs to amuse themselves with the maids. How could Jiyu Mo have directly presented them before him? No matter what, he was still the emperor. Sure enough, the fingers pressing against my waist suddenly tightened, and even through the fabric of my clothes, I could feel the icy chill of his fingertips. Yet he burst into laughter and said, "Thank you for your concern, Regent. Now, could you kindly step out and allow us and the noble consort some private enjoyment?" The vast bedchamber was now left with only me and Jiyu Linyuan. My legs gave way, and I knelt at his feet, pleading pitifully, "This concubine should not have spoken ill of your majesty. This concubine deserves death 10,000 times over." But at this moment, I wasn't particularly afraid of Jiyu Linyuan. Jiyu Linyuan's harem had only me as his consort. Though I was forcibly placed here by Jiyu Mo, he still doted on me in daily life. What I feared more was Jiyu Mo, who had stormed out with a face dark as thunder, just now, in a moment of thoughtlessness. I nearly forgot I'm merely a pawn meant to keep an eye on Jiyu Linyuan. My chin was lifted by slender fingers, and I looked up, meeting Jiyu Linyuan's amber eyes. "Who is Yina thinking about?" His voice was even colder than Jiyu Mo's. As if laced with shards of ice, I sighed. The young emperor was handsome, but his temper was truly as changeable as the weather. I resorted to my tried-and-true method, obediently leaning against Jiyu Linyuan's paralyzed legs and coaxing softly, "Let this concubine serve your majesty to rest." Jiyu Linyuan curled his lips slightly, his large hand lingering on my cheek, his eyes brimming with emotions I couldn't decipher. Suddenly, he spoke. "Would Yina like to try?" "What to try?" I asked instinctively, only to see Jiyu Linyuan's gaze fall upon that box of jade stones. Even though I had been taught the ways of the bedchamber by the matrons arranged by Jiyu Mo since my coming-of-age ceremony, my face still flushed crimson at this moment, my heart nearly leaping out of my chest. Yet Jiyu Linyuan continued to stare at me, as if demanding an answer. Steeling myself, I swallowed hard and closed my eyes. "If your majesty wishes, Yina can comply." Jiyu Linyuan planted a gentle kiss on my forehead. "Yina, I can't bear to part with you. But you must behave, otherwise, I won't be able to restrain myself either." I couldn't help but feel even more tender toward him. Such a handsome man, how could he be confined to a wheelchair? Jiyu Linyang rubbed the nape of my neck and sighed deeply. "Sleep now." I breathed a sigh of relief and immediately helped Jiyu Linyuan remove his outer garments, then moved him onto the bed and covered him with a silk quilt. With his eyes still closed, he suddenly asked, "I never knew Yina was so knowledgeable." I froze for a moment before realizing after a long pause that he was referring to the lavish gifts Jiyu Mo had sent. I nestled deeper into Jiyu Linyuan's embrace, a bitter smile playing at the corners of my lips. A chess piece of extraordinary beauty, since childhood, had been groomed as a gift to please men. What she was taught, how she would be put to use, these were things an emperor could never truly comprehend. "Who taught you? Did the regent personally instruct you?" Jiyu Linyuan opened his eyes, his voice turning cold again. I wrapped my arms around his waist and shook my head. "Your Majesty, this humble consort belongs to you alone. What could the regent possibly have to do with me?" His lips pressed against mine, cold and unyielding. "Yina, remember your words." My heart trembled as his fingers interlaced with mine. Only when I heard Jiyu Linyuan's steady breathing did I gradually extricate myself from his embrace, don my outer robe, and leave the bedchamber. Whenever Jiyu Mo enters the palace to see the emperor, I must find a way to meet him. This is the rule he set for me. In the side hall, Jiyu Mo stood desolately by the window, bathed in the cold moonlight. "You dare to defy me?" In just a moment, Jiyu Mo had already pinched my chin and pressed me against the window. I winced in pain, frowning as I said, "You told me to win his trust. If I remain indifferent to such blatant humiliation from you, how can I possibly make him believe me?" Jiyu Mo eyed me suspiciously, though the force of his grip lessened slightly. After a long pause, he finally released me, as if suppressing some emotion, and spoke. "Shen Yin, I regret this. I will arrange for you to leave the palace." I blurted out, "What do you mean by leaving the palace?" I instinctively grew wary. After all, I had already been sent away once. Had Jiyu Mo already found a new place for me? Yet he took my hand, gently prying open my clenched fingers one by one, and placed a handkerchief in my palm. This handkerchief, I washed it with my own hands. "Shen Yin, stay by my side." Jiyu Mo's gaze burned into me, as if confessing his feelings. I froze, staring at him in disbelief. Yet the pair of mandarin ducks I had embroidered on that handkerchief myself kept reminding me of my past foolishness and naivety. "By your side, in what capacity?" I sneered. "Would Princess Anning consent to that?" Jiyu Mo pursed his lips before replying after a long pause. "Anning is understanding. She likely wouldn't mind." I coldly withdrew my hand and said, "If the regent has orders, just command me, if not, I'll take my leave." Once again, I was pressed against the windowsill, Ji Mo gripping my neck, his eyes blazing with fury. "Shen Yin, you're still pure, I haven't rejected you. What exactly are you making a fuss about?" Haha, I laughed until tears came, and the tears flowed into my mouth bitter, from beginning to end. Ji Mo treated me as nothing more than a dog he could summon and dismiss at will. I bit my lip and enunciated each word clearly. "This concubine is His Majesty's imperial noble consort. May the regent prince permit me to leave now." At that moment, a cold gust of wind suddenly rushed in from behind. In panic, I turned my head to see Jiu Linyuan being wheeled in by a eunuch, seated in his wheelchair. My face turned deathly pale with fright as I hurriedly tried to retreat. But my hand remained firmly grasped in Jiu Mo's grip. Jiu Mo's eyes were bloodshot, seemingly unwilling, but upon seeing Jiu Linyuan, he finally released me. "Come here." Jiu Linyuan spoke coldly, uttering just 2 words. I lifted my skirt and ran to him. Kneeling before him and resting on his knees, "Your Majesty." Before I could finish speaking, he kissed me, hasty, yet not gentle. In my flustered state, I opened my eyes to see him gazing provocatively at Jiu Mo. Jiu Mo clenched his fists until his knuckles cracked, grinding his teeth as he said, "If your Majesty is so enamored with beauty, this subject shall select more fair maidens to present to you tomorrow." Jiu Linyuan reluctantly pulled away from my lips, narrowed his eyes, and said, "The regent is no longer young, it's time to settle down. Anning has been begging us to arrange her marriage. Today, we shall grant your union. How does that sound?" In that instant, my face turned deathly pale, my palms bleeding where my nails had dug into them. Her peaceful existence has always been a thorn in my chest. It was her idea to have me sent into the palace. That day, clinging to Jiu Mo's sleeve, she cooed with a sweet laugh, "Brother Mo, Shen Yin has always been too wild. Now that she's grown, she ought to learn some manners. Why not send her into the palace?" Jiu Mo remained silent, so she pouted and teased, "Brother Mo, surely you're not reluctant to part with her." The truth proved that Jiu Mo was willing to let go. Just like now, Jiu Mo merely gave me a complicated glance before saying, "Princess Anning's ancestors were founding heroes of the nation. It is my greatest honor to marry her." My heart died completely. "I congratulate your highness." I offered my felicitations. Jiu Mo opened his mouth but ultimately said nothing, giving me a look that said "You're on your own" before turning to leave. The moment Jiu Mo left, Jiu Linyuan suddenly tried to stand up from his wheelchair, only to collapse again the next second. He was furious. I'd never seen him like this before. "Your Majesty, this concubine deserves death 10,000 times. I stepped forward to support him. He pressed his full weight against me, enunciating each word deliberately. "Yinna, do you really think I can't bear to kill you?" I froze, my entire body turning cold. He gripped my chin and kissed me again, this time. The metallic tang of blood filled my mouth. "Do you remember what you said?" Jiu Linyuan demanded. I don't know how to answer him. Just earlier tonight, I told him I was his, but I'm Jiu Linyuan's pawn. How could I ever truly belong to him? Only this emperor may touch you. Jiu Linyuan was relentless, and I endured it with gritted teeth, as if this was what I owed him. But it seemed my debt could never be repaid, because after that night, Jiu Linyuan never summoned me to his chambers again. I couldn't even catch a glimpse of him. But since the Regent King wanted me out of the palace, he would make it happen. He always kept his word. Half a month later, the Empress Dowager's decree arrived, ordering me to leave the palace and go to Fahua Temple to pray for the ailing emperor's health. The old maidservant from the Empress Dowager's side firmly held me by both arms. I pleaded ingratiatingly, "Please be kind, madam," before my departure. I still wished to see His Majesty one last time. I had no desire to leave the palace. I knew this was merely a pretense. Jiu Mo was using his own methods to keep me by his side, but I don't want to become a pawn in his love game with Princess Anning, and Jiu Linyuan is my last hope. The two matrons sneered, gripping my elbows as they shoved me into the carriage, then slammed the door shut from outside. Refusing to give up, I leaned against the window and called out twice more, "Your Majesty, Your Majesty, this concubine cannot bear to part with you." Yet, an old nurse came up and stuffed my mouth as well. The carriage raced swiftly, heading out of the palace. I sadly realized that I wasn't the only pitiable soul in this world. I couldn't control my own fate. Even Jiyu Linyuan, the emperor, was powerless when his consort was arranged to leave the palace. No sooner had we left the palace gates than Jiyu Mo, clad in black, swiftly boarded the carriage. He sat beside me as if nothing had happened, taking my hand as though all that had transpired before was but a dream. Shen Yin, from now on, you'll belong to me alone. He caressed my hand, though whether it was meant to comfort me or himself, I couldn't tell. I suddenly tore open my collar. Jiyu Mo narrowed his eyes, his throat bobbing, almost simultaneously. His fingertips brushed against my neck. Yet I said maliciously, does the regent truly not mind? Here, and here, they all bear traces of other men. Jiyu Mo's fingers paused, a flicker of pain and severity flashing through his eyes. Shen Yin, don't forget who raised you. Your clumsy tricks are as childish as a toddler's pranks to this prince. As he spoke, his right hand gripped the back of my neck. Leaning in closer, gritting my teeth to suppress the rising nausea, I lifted my foot to kick, only to have it effortlessly caught by his left hand. After just 1 year as imperial consort, have you forgotten how this prince taught you? Jiyu Mo gripped the back of my neck, forcing me to look up at him, his cold, stern face so close I could feel his breath. Tell me, what should you do? His voice seemed to come from hell, reminding me of those endless nights starving in the water dungeon. That hammer-like pain instantly spread throughout my entire body. My body trembled uncontrollably, my teeth chattering. Yet Jiyu Mo suddenly embraced me tenderly, as if delighting in playing this game with me. Good girl, then please this king. I could only bite my lip hard to keep the tears from falling. At that very moment, whoa whoa, a sharp cry rang out as the carriage came to an abrupt halt. Jiyu Mo's expression turned grave as he immediately grabbed his sword and lifted the carriage curtain. My heart skipped a beat, I admit, in that moment. I was hoping it would be Jiyu Linyuan, but my gaze fell upon Princess Anning. She had come in such haste that even her high chignon had become slightly disheveled, making her appear all the more delicate and pitiable. Sure enough, Jiyu Mo's expression quickly softened. He leaped down from the carriage and asked tenderly, Anning, what brings you here? Anning bit her lip, her face pale as she looked toward the carriage and asked, Brother Mo, who is in the carriage? Where are you going so late at night? Jiyu Mo patted Anning's shoulder, his voice unexpectedly cold. Anning, go back, this has nothing to do with you. Anning's eyes instantly reddened, she sniffled and said with grievance, Brother Mo, we're about to be married. In her tearful voice, I abruptly lifted the carriage curtain, deliberately revealing the marks left on my collar from the struggle with Jiyu Mo. So it's Princess Anning. The regent himself is escorting me to Fahua Temple for my spiritual practice. Has the princess come to see me off as well? I chuckled lightly. I watched as all color visibly drained from Anning's face. Jiyu Mo practically glared at me. Brother Mo, I want to go see off the noble consort too, may I? She nearly spoke through tears. Jiyu Mo hesitated, words caught in his throat. Propping my chin in hand, I watched the show unfold. Just as expected, Jiyu Mo finally sighed and said, all right. He could never refuse Anning. I'd known that from the start. Thus, Princess Anning also boarded the carriage, perhaps feeling awkward facing both me and Anning simultaneously. Jiyu Mo went outside to ride his horse. You shameless wretch, even though you're already a ruined woman, you still can't stop seducing Brother Mo. Anning raised her hand to slap me. I sneered, grabbed her wrist, and shoved her hard, sending her tumbling to the ground. First of all, this concubine is the imperial noble consort. For a mere county princess like you to share a carriage with me is already an immense favor bestowed upon you. Secondly, it was your beloved Brother Mo who couldn't let go of me, going through great lengths to bring me out of the palace. If you hadn't appeared, perhaps he and I would have already. Anning covered her ears and screamed, Shut up, you vile woman. Hearing the commotion, Jiyu Mo arrived to find Anning collapsed on the ground. He immediately rebuked angrily, Shen Yin. Retract your despicable tricks, or this prince won't let you off easily. With a faint smile, I said, Your Highness the Regent may escort this princess back to the palace. Don't even think about it, Shen Yin. The only way you'll leave me is in death. I narrowed my eyes and looked challengingly at Anning. I saw her fingers clench into fists against the ground, her gaze toward me filled with venom and cruelty. Yes, I was provoking Anning. Because I would rather die than stay by Jiu Mo's side any longer. I hadn't expected Anning to act so quickly. Before dawn, when we were still 30 li from Fahua Temple, we were ambushed in the woods. As a concubine, I left the palace to pray for the emperor's blessings. Ostensibly, I was accompanied only by palace eunuchs and maids, while Jiu Mo, to avoid drawing attention, brought very few of his own people. Dealing with a group of well-trained bandits was indeed somewhat challenging. It wouldn't have necessarily ended in complete defeat, but then Princess Anning refused to stay safely in the carriage, calling out affectionately, "Brother Mo, I want to be with you. I won't let them hurt you." Then he jumped off the carriage. Damn. He practically delivered himself to these bandits on a silver platter. The bandits sneered as they dragged Anning deeper into the woods. Through the carriage window, I saw Jiu Mo's resolute figure chasing after them without hesitation. But for some reason, he turned back and looked at me with deep affection. "Shen Yin, and Ning has never suffered hardship since childhood. You're different, you're resilient. Once I save her, I'll come back for you." His affection made me sick, and Ning has never suffered hardship, so she mustn't suffer any now either. I've had enough since childhood, so I must endure it in the future too. I'm truly grateful to him. Jiu Mo didn't know how An Ning had arrogantly spoken to me through her nostrils before jumping off the carriage. "Shen Yin, you'll never outplay me. Brother Mo will only abandon you for me, time and time again." Yes, I agree with what Anning said. I don't want to live through another day of this damned life. But I still want to try. Perhaps I can fight for a sliver of hope for myself. So the moment Jiu Mo led most of the men to rescue An Ning, I jumped off the carriage and sprinted toward the woods on the other side. "Imperial consort, where are you going? The regent ordered us to protect you." The two remaining guards shouted in alarm as they chased after me, but in the next instant, their throats were slit by the bandits who had surrounded them. These assassins, bribed by An Ning, had always been targeting me. Having drawn Jiu Mo away, more and more assassins rushed out from the woods on both sides. I ran until I was out of breath, yet it was the first time in my life I had ever felt so exhilarated. This was the first time I was living for myself, even if only for a brief moment. I was forced to the edge of the cliff. The bandit just a few yards away from me sneered, "Little girl, you can run pretty fast. Huh, why don't you try running again for me?" Another one was already loosening his belt, licking his lips as he said, "Today, I'm gonna taste what it's like to have the emperor's woman, imperial concubine." The mountain wind was so cold it made me shiver. I thought of Jiu Linyuan. Am I still his honored consort? Is he still angry with me? Would he discover that I've been secretly sent away from the palace? I sighed, never expecting that at this moment, the one I'd think of would be him. Perhaps I merely pity him. No one has ever been truly devoted to him, not even I, his consort who shared his bed every night, for I was always scheming against him. If I get another chance, Jiu Linyuan, I'll treat you right. I sighed and muttered to myself. The bandits grew impatient. A dozen men began loosening their garments as they advanced toward me step by step. Suddenly, I felt at peace. This was precisely the ending I'd rehearsed countless times in my mind. An unprecedented sense of relief washed over me. I pulled out the handkerchief Jiu Mo had stuffed into my sleeve and threw it on the ground. I was going to die, and my only thought was that I didn't want to keep this filthy thing with me. Tell An Ning that this filthy Jiu Mo is beneath me, Shen Yin. I'm giving him to her, and I wish them eternal happiness together. With that, I leaned back and fell straight off the cliff. What's a bottomless abyss to me? I'm finally free. The villagers say I'm the 101st woman to fall from that cliff, but the only one who survived. This is all thanks to my man, Guz, the disciple of divine Dr. Guu. The villagers also say that when I was in a daze, I promised to marry Guz in return for saving my life, but I don't remember any of this. When the first rays of morning sunlight filtered through the bamboo door, my gaze fell upon the man lying beside me. He was so extraordinarily handsome that I couldn't help but believe it must have been me who insisted on pledging myself to him, rather than him taking advantage of my vulnerability. Besides, I've never heard of a villain who takes advantage of someone yet leaves behind a useless vase like me, devoid of any virtue except my beauty, without even attempting to claim my virtue. To this day, the chastity mark still remains on my arm. Lost in thought, I couldn't resist reaching out to stroke his perfectly unharmed thigh. These legs are strong and powerful, with firm muscles. For some reason, I have a particular fondness for them. It's as if a man like him should naturally have legs like these. My fingers were quickly caught, and Goose's voice was slightly hoarse. Darling, you're not fully recovered yet. You'll have to wait a little longer. Same old excuse. I rolled my eyes. My body had long since recovered. Today I decided to throw caution to the wind and demanded, "Are you seeing someone else?" Guz froze, then buried his face against me with muffled laughter. "Wife, you really, I like this side of you so much. If only you'd been like this before." But he seemed to remember something, cutting his words short abruptly. I frowned. Why stop there? What about before? What was I like before? He chuckled silently. Then effortlessly sealed my lips with his own. I quickly put the matter out of my mind. My health has been fine for ages. If you make me live like a widow again, I won't speak to you, I said angrily, giving him a pinch. He suddenly raised his head from me, propping himself up on his arms on either side of me, gazing deeply into my eyes. "Darling, call me husband." So serious, I thought he was going to say something important. "Husband, husband, husband," I called him over and over again. In the end, my voice was hoarse. When my consciousness blurred, I thought, these legs were indeed meant to be like this. It wasn't until I passed out that I understood. When he said my body hadn't recovered yet, he truly meant it for my own good. I dreamed of a man choking me, demanding I stay by his side. That man was truly terrifying. Then I saw Guz, but for some reason his legs were useless. He couldn't stand up anymore. Panicked, I rushed over and asked him, "What happened to your legs? How did this happen?" But he looked at me coldly and said word by word, "Yinna, do you remember what you said?" My head was splitting with pain, yet I simply couldn't recall what I had said that made him so angry. In panic, I opened my eyes and saw Guz, his face full of anxiety, keeping vigil by my side. Frantically, I reached out to touch his legs, tears streaming down my face before I even realized it. "Guz, have I ever betrayed you?" I wailed. "Why am I such a terrible woman? Is the past?" Guz mentioned the past when I betrayed him. Guz froze for a moment, then pulled me into his arms with aching tenderness. "Darling, calm down. You've never betrayed me. It's my fault for not protecting you well enough. And your leg, I stammered incoherently. He soothed me, saying, "My leg is fine. Didn't you just feel it for yourself?" "Darling," I punched him with my fist. The days in the village were peaceful and beautiful. And apart from that one dream, I never thought about the past again. When Guz treated the villagers, they would bring him vegetables, fruits, or poultry in return. He took me with him everywhere, whether cooking or seeing patients. He always wanted me by his side. Sometimes I felt that perhaps it wasn't just me who thought these days were like a stroke of luck. Guz seemed to feel the same way. I'm afraid that what was picked up will one day have to be returned. That night, Guz was unusually well behaved. "Darling, I need to leave the village for a while," he finally spoke up. My palms turned cold, but I insisted, "I want to go with you." He pulled me into his embrace, gently stroking my back with each soothing motion. "Yinna, this is the safest place. Wait here for me, all right?" That call of Yinna seemed to come from a distant past, as if separated by a long, long time, familiar yet strange. What are you going to do?" I asked, my voice trembling. For some reason, I couldn't shake the feeling that if we parted now, I would never see him again. Guz cupped my face in his hands and kissed the tip of my nose with reverence. "I'm going to secure our future," he said. "Yinna, wait for me." These were the last words Guz left me before he walked away. I didn't burst into hoarse sobs until his figure had almost disappeared from sight. Even when seas run dry and rocks crumble, I'll wait for you. Guz, you must never betray me. The days without Guz weren't exactly dull, just the act of waiting for him gave me something to look forward to. But the village women seemed afraid I'd grow lonely, taking turns to keep me company. Today, Aunt Jong made some griddle cakes and asked me to try them to see if they suited my taste. Tomorrow, Sister Wang's family has freshly slaughtered a pig and specially sent me some braised pork. I can't help but marvel at how well liked Guz is in this village. What a stroke of luck for me to get such a great deal. Until one day, Sister Lee embroidered a handkerchief with mandarin ducks playing in water for me. telling me to wait for Guze's return and pretend it was my gift to him. Holding this handkerchief, my heart pounded wildly. It felt as if, long ago, I had embroidered such a piece myself. Suddenly, a prolonged and resonant oxhorn whistle echoed through the village. The petite younger sister of the Lee family sitting beside me suddenly stood up, shielding me with her body. With her left hand gripping my arm, her right hand drew out a flexible sword from within her voluminous outer robe. "Your Highness, don't be afraid," I could hear the tension in her voice. But outside, flames already lit up the sky as fire-wrapped arrows came streaking toward us. Several arrows barely grazed past us, but fortunately, Sister Lee was nimble enough to dodge them. Then, I heard a voice that seemed to come straight from hell. "Shen Yin, do you want them all to die with you?" Outside the window, Brother Wang, who was swinging a sledgehammer, was hit by an arrow in the ankle, just as he tried to pull it out. The substance wrapped around the arrowhead exploded with a deafening blast. He was blown into a bloody pulp. "No," I screamed hoarsely. The handkerchief fell from my hand, and the door was kicked open. Sister Lee resolutely stepped in front of me, her palms sweaty. "Who goes there?" Behind a troop of armored soldiers, a man slowly approached, clad in a dark robe, his face chiseled with determination but covered in stubble. An icy aura surrounded him, yet the moment he saw me, a smile finally broke through. "Shen Yin, I've finally found you," he said, his voice carrying the weight of authority. Instinctively, I took a step back. Sister Lee brandished her soft sword and charged straight forward. After she had slain several soldiers in succession, the man seemed to grow impatient and casually drew a sword. In just a few exchanges, that sword came to rest against Sister Lee's neck. Throughout this entire process, his gaze remained fixed on me, never wavering. "Shen Yin, it's time for you to go home," he said gently. "No, I won't leave this place. This is my home," I screamed. "I'm waiting for my husband to return." "Your husband? Very well." As soon as he finished speaking, younger Sister Lee collapsed in a pool of blood. Warm blood splattered across my face. One moment she was sitting on the couch teaching me how to make the men at home obey. The next her throat was slit, rendering her speechless forever. Suddenly, I calmed down. Pulling out my only hairpin and pressing it against my own throat. "I'll go with you. Just let the villagers go." His gaze burned as it fell upon the skin where my hairpin had already drawn blood. After a long while, he finally said, "Fine." Inside the carriage, he pinched my chin and forced a bowl of medicinal brew down my throat. "How dare you forget me, your prince?" I coughed violently a few times before passing out. Those fragmented dreams finally pieced together, and I remembered everything. I married someone in the village, the current emperor, Jiyu Linyuan. His legs were fine. He had deceived everyone, including me, yet I still miss him. I long to see him every moment. "Where is the emperor?" This was the first question I asked Jiyu Mo upon waking. His eyes were bloodshot as he gripped my arm tightly, then tore off my sleeve. "Where is your chastity mark?" I said calmly. "I am the emperor's noble consort. Surely the regent king doesn't expect me to remain chaste for you." He raised his hand to strike, and I pressed my face forward to meet it. "Jiyu Mo, I suggest you strike harder, make it kill me and be done with it." But his slap never came. His entire body pressed down on me. "Shen Yin, I've searched for you for so long. Every day you were gone, I kept thinking. And now I've finally realized I want you." I didn't resist him, only asking, "You and Princess Anning should be married by now, shouldn't you?" His movements paused as he said hoarsely, "She comes from a prominent family and has the grace of saving my life. Though she is my wife, I won't touch her." "Shen Yin, I've gone this far for you. Are you still not satisfied?" I had intended to tell him the truth about my fall from the cliff, but now, I felt it wasn't the right time yet. "Jiyu Mo, tomorrow night. I'm still very tired, let me rest a little longer," I said, my voice suddenly softening. A flash of delight crossed his eyes as his trembling fingers brushed against my cheek. "Chen Yin, I will erase every trace Jiyu Linyuan left on you. You can only belong to me." After Jiyu Mo left, Princess Anning indeed came to see me. Before she could speak, I asked directly, "You haven't consummated your marriage with Jiyu Mo yet, have you?" Furious, she rushed over to strike me. "You vile wretch," I cut off her meaningless insults, saying, "I'll leave tomorrow night's opportunity to you. Make the most of it." She froze, as if unable to believe what she was hearing. "Why?" Consider it my gift to you both, I smiled. In return, tell me where the emperor is. And Ning frowned with disdain and said, the emperor is missing, and when you disappeared, he vanished too. But don't think he can come to save you. The court is entirely under Brother Mo's control, and besides, I married him. My father will undoubtedly side with him. If he's only missing, that means he's still alive. I let out a soft sigh of relief. Make sure to perform well tomorrow night, I added with a smile, although Ning looked down on me. How could she refuse my proposal? Before leaving, she spat at me. Idiot. The next
slowly pried my fingers open, licking away the blood from my hand. You're tainted, and so am I. We're even now. Let's live well together from now on. I felt so disgusted I wanted to vomit. The day after Anning was divorced, I was forced into wearing bright red wedding robes. I sought death, but Jiyu Mo threatened me with the lives of over a dozen villagers. They were all Jiyu Linyuan's people. To hide me well, he built an entire village and left his most trusted followers behind to protect me. How could I bear to let them die for me again? When I entered the palace, my sedan chair came through the back gate. Without even wedding robes, what concubine is worthy of wearing bright red? But when I married Jiyu Linyuan in the village, I was still unconscious. They told me he dressed me in bright red wedding robes and carried me through the ceremony to bow to heaven and earth, he said. Whether in life or death, I would always be his wife. Yet today, I am to be wed again. The regent king is taking a new wife, and all the civil and military officials have come, many of whom saw me at the palace banquet. Not a single person dared to speak. Behind the beaded curtain, my tears fell in torrents. Jiyu Mo casually wiped them away, his voice tender as he said, Shen Yin, today is our joyous wedding day. Smile for me. I couldn't even bear to look at him, he warned again. Do you not want those villagers to live? I forced my stiff lips into a strained curve. He also smiled happily. Good, you must be more obedient from now on. The auspicious hour had arrived. With deafening gongs and drums, whether sincere or feigned, congratulatory voices filled the air without end. Jiyu Mo led me by the hand into the wedding hall. Bow to heaven and earth. The sky was overcast all day, with the ominous signs of an impending storm. Bow to the parents, husband and wife face. The auspicious words of the wedding matron were abruptly cut off by the deafening rumble of thunder. The gates of the regent's palace collapsed with a crash as torrential rain poured down. The rain was so heavy it blurred vision, yet I could still see Jiyu Linyuan clearly. His bright yellow imperial robe was stained with blood, but every step he took toward me was resolute. Behind him stood the uniformly arrayed imperial guards, while on the walls of the regent's courtyard, archers seemed to have descended from the heavens, their arrows trained on the assembled civil and military officials below. The ministers collapsed to the ground in terror, as if they hadn't yet processed what was happening. For instance, how had the emperor suddenly risen to his feet? And was the emperor here to steal a bride? But moments later, the crowd knelt in unison. We humbly welcome your majesty. May the emperor live 10,000 years, 10,000 times 10,000 years. Yet Jiyu Linyuan paid them no heed, extending only a hand toward me as he said tenderly, Yina, come here. I shook off Jiyu Mo and was about to run forward, but then I saw Jiyu Mo draw his sword, blocking my path. The emperor has truly grown up, daring to snatch even his uncle's wife. Jiyu Linyuan let out a cold laugh and raised his sword. Yina was forced off the cliff by my uncle. It was I who saved her life, held her as we bowed to heaven and earth. Yina is the empress of Dayuan. My lawful wife, none of you interfere. I shall personally end him. Jiyu Linyuan didn't win easily, but he won. He crippled Jiyu Mo's legs and exiled him to the bitter cold lands along with Anning. Dragging his paralyzed lower body, Jiyu Mo clutched at my skirt, sobbing, Shen Yin, we once loved each other, yet I didn't even glance at him, rushing instead into Jiyu Linyuan's embrace, clinging to him as I wept uncontrollably. You bastard, you've been lying to me all this time. So you're the miracle doctor's disciple, how impressive, you actually dared to make me lose my memory. He wiped away my tears over and over, pressing his forehead against mine as he whispered, I truly didn't want you to remember him again. Yina, from now on, let there only be me, alright? We kissed in the heavy rain, as if we'd been reborn.